I would want you to start by walking us through what should the voter expect. He has arrived in the station, all right, and I can see him walking in very slowly. That's our voter. It's a mock simulation, and he has walked in. So I want you, for the sake of the viewer, to start us off. What should the voter expect on that day?
Thank you very much. On the polling day, on the 9th of August, we will have our polling stations opened to the voters at exactly 6 a.m. in the morning. In the morning? Yeah. And so the polling station will resemble what we have here. And we're also going to have agents who will be allowed into the polling stations, and we're also going to have observers. So those agents are from the various political parties? So agents will be representing various political parties and also various independent candidates. Now, once a voter walks into the polling station, they will find the queuing clerk. And that's the voter? And that's the voter here with us. So you can just walk us through, because we have the voter there? Yes. All right. So he will find a queuing clerk outside the room, outside the polling station room, and the queuing clerk will direct him to the right polling station, because he will have been trained on how to identify a voter's name and place them in the right polling station. Yes. So once he's inside the polling station, he will find the presiding officer, who will also welcome him or her, and then he will find the clerk number 1, or the first clerk. So the clerk will be there, and what the clerk will require from this voter is to first to confirm if this voter has any signs on his fingers of voting. Why are they doing that? So they will have to confirm if this voter has voted or not in this particular election. Okay. Because when you vote, a small a mark will be put on the small finger, especially the left finger. All right. So you want to make sure that he has not cast a vote anywhere in this election. So so we want to make sure that they have not cast their vote, and therefore he is a fresh voter. Okay. And so he will be asked to produce the document that he used during registration. And so if he used an identity card, he will be required to produce an identity card. And for this case, he has produced an identity card. Had he used a passport, he will be required also to produce a Kenyan, of course, valid passport. Okay. So the document you use to register is the one you must present to the officer? Yes. Okay. That is what the law requires. Okay. So from there, he is going to be identified using the KIMS. So that is the KIMS kit? That is the KIMS machine, or the KIMS kit. We call it the Kenya Integrated Electoral Management System, because it has all the systems. It has the system of identifying a voter, and it has the system of transmitting results. And in that system, we also have the voters register, the national register. What do they mean when they say the biometrics? Now, the biometrics here will refer to any of the 10 fingers. So once he places one of the fingerprints on the fingerprint scanner, then his details, because he's a registered voter, should be able to pop up in the KIMS machine. Okay, so his profile is on a central database somewhere, and the KIMS kit can recognize him and, you know, give all his details there. Yes, because the register, you know, we used the biometric voter registration kit to register voters, and the details of those voters were uploaded. That data was uploaded in the KIMS kit. So the KIMS kit carries all the register. It carries all the voters in this republic. So once his details pop up, he will be allowed now to proceed. By the way, before you go to the next stage, yes. What about if that KIMS kit, let me frame this question this way. In the unlikely event that the KIMS fails, and you know, technology being technology, what happens? Is there any contingency, for instance? Now, for the last, we conducted elections in 2017 using the KIMS machine. It never failed. We have conducted several by-elections since 2017, and the KIMS kit has never failed. So we don't expect the KIMS kit to fail. However, the Commission will be giving a way forward, because we also have a provision in the regulation that provides for the use of the manual register. So the Commission will be giving a way forward, whether we shall have the manual register or not. But for the meantime, we want to assure Kenyans that the KIMS kit is going to work, because it has worked in all the elections we have conducted. And I know the matter is before court, so it may be prejudice, but it's sub judice to go into the merits. So after that,
Now we move to the next stage.
Now, after that, the voter will be allowed to move to the next clerk, and he will be issued with the presidential ballot papers. We have the member of National Assembly ballot paper and the county assembly ballot paper. And the ballot paper must be stamped at the back, and especially the top back under the counterfoil. So she will pluck it out, and then she will stamp at the back, at the top back, just to ensure that it has our security feature. It is among the security features of the ballot paper. The ballot paper has various security features, and the stamp is one of the security features, and therefore she'll also be expected to stamp at the counterfoil of that ballot paper. Every ballot leaf has a counterfoil.
Okay. So she stamps on the ballot itself and on the counterfoil.
Yeah, and that is at the back, yes.
Does the
But the counterfoil on the top of the counterfoil.
On the top of the counterfoil.
On the face, we call it the face. Yes.
Any possibility of the clerk forgetting to stamp?
Now, the clerks will be well trained. The current staff we are using, and she's doing it just slowly by slowly for the purpose of demonstration, the clerks will be well trained to do that. And we don't expect the clerks to fail stamping the ballot papers. It is an offense when they don't do it.
It is an offense?
Yes.
Does the voter have a civic duty to politely remind the clerk in the event that he or she has forgotten to stamp that, hey, you know what, I don't think there's a stamp here?
The voter can do it, but again, we also have the presiding officer and the deputy presiding officer in the polling station. They have a responsibility to ensure that all the ballot papers issued to voters are stamped at the back.
Okay. All right. So the next step?
So from there, she will move on to the next clerk. So we will have about six clerks.
How many, sorry to disrupt you, how many papers does he have now?
He has 3. He has the ballot for the presidential election, the member of national, which is green, and then the county assembly, which is brown.
Okay.
So at the next clerks, we will have about 6 clerks in the normal election, but for the purpose of simulation here, you see we have only picked 3. So we will have now the senator, the county woman member of National Assembly, and then the governor ballot paper issued at this stage. So we shall ensure that a voter has been given 6 ballot papers, and all of them stamped at the back, and the counterfoil also stamped. So the clerks will also direct the voter now to the booth, as you can see. I saw her direct the voter to the booth. So at this point, we expect the voter now to go to the booth. That is the booth. Remember, at this point, we cannot see what the voter is marking because it's supposed to be a secret ballot.
Who is closest to the voter at this point?
Nobody should be closest to the voter. But the presiding officer must be standing at an area where he can be able to see that the voter is marking the ballot paper so that they don't pocket them or they don't fail to go and cast them in the ballot boxes. Because it is an offense to be given a ballot paper and you walk away with it. They should cast it in the various ballot boxes. Yes.
What about those, our brothers and sisters who need some special requirement? Those who are hard on seeing, hard on hearing, the blind, the deaf, how do you get them to this stage where we are, where now they are in the booth?
Yeah, for voters who are not able to read because of various reasons, the law provides for them to come with somebody to assist them, and that person must have attained the age of 18 years, meaning that they must have a national identity card or probably a passport to identify them. And in the event a person does not have a person to assist them, then the law requires that the presiding officer can assist that voter, but only in the presence of the agents who are present in the room. Yeah.
So the agents must be present?
The agents must be present only when the presiding officer is assisting the voter.
The voter.
Yes. And at that point, when the voter walks in with a person to assist them, that voter must fill Form 32, which is an oath of secrecy, just to ensure that he is able to keep the secrecy of the ballot.
Okay.
You will not go saying that this voter voted for so-and-so. Yeah.
What about the blind one?
Now, the blind ones, the commission has, in the past, has printed ballot, what do you call them, braille materials for the blind. But for this time, I also want to believe the same will be done. And if they have not, then a person to assist them should accompany them.
Should accompany them?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so he has marked?
So he has marked the 6 elective ballot papers, and therefore from there he'll proceed now to cast them in the ballot
I'll just
boxes.
Create some space so that you can walk him to...
So we'll begin with the presidential ballot box, and of course you place the white one. We'll ensure that the voter places the white one. The white one matches with the lid of the presidential ballot box. Therefore, it goes inside the ballot box. Remember, when we began, the ballot boxes were empty. And usually before 6 a.m. in the morning, the presiding officer must demonstrate the emptiness of the ballot box. He must display that the ballot boxes are empty and they have nothing inside to the agents who are present. And then again, they must put the seals. You can see we have put the seals. You must now seal the ballot box. Remember, these are lids which are detachable. But now, in the morning before 6 a.m., when the agents are present, then they seal the ballot box. But they leave the aperture. We have this vacant place here. The opening here is called the aperture. So we leave the aperture open to allow the voter to cast their ballot paper inside. Now you realize that the seals have serial numbers. And therefore the agents together with the presiding officer must capture the number of the serial of the seals, so that in the evening or any other time that they want to close the aperture and probably they want to count, they can always confirm that the serial numbers were not, the seals were not interfered with. And if in case the agents came with their own seals, the presiding officer can allow them to add their seals. These are security measures to ensure that, So
by the way, what about if somebody's, just out of mischief, decides to tamper with those seals? What does that mean?
That means that the election was interfered with. The polling process was interfered with, because the seals should not be interfered with during the day. And not even during the day. In the evening, once polling is over, we shall close the aperture and we shall seal it using another seal here. So during counting time now, it will mean that now when we convert the room to a counting station, it means now we shall cut the seals. For us now to empty the ballot box, the ballot papers, for us to count them. Unless we have, the law does not provide for us during the day to cut the seals. It only allows us to cut after polling is over.
After polling is over?
Yes. So that now we can empty the contents and then we begin counting the ballot papers.
So it opens at 6?
And closes at 5 p.m.
At 5 p.m.
But if we have voters on the queue at 5 p.m., then normally the presiding officer should secure the last voter, should request the security person who is there to secure the last voter. Normally we place the security officer behind the last voter so that we secure the line. And we don't expect somebody else now to move into the polling station.
So for those who are still on the queue,
they will be allowed to vote.
The clock strikes 5 and they are in the queue. They don't go back home.
They don't go back home.
Allow them
they're allowed to vote.
To come and vote.
Yes.
Tell me, those are the ones who can physically come to, for example, this polling station here. How about those who are incarcerated, for example? Will they vote?
You cannot vote from anywhere else apart from the polling station. We don't have online voting. We are yet to go there as a country.
How about...
So voting in Kenya is manual, and the voter must present himself or herself, and they must vote manually. But the identification part of the voter is electronic.
Is electronic?
Yes, their biometrics must be identified.
So let me ask you.
Yes.
So what does that mean for our folks in the diaspora?
Now, our folks in their diaspora will also go through the same process we shall have polling stations in those countries where we have our registrations, our polling stations.
Yeah.
And they will be voting manually like we are doing here.
Okay.
And they'll be voting at the same time as you are voting here.
So those who are in conflict with the law and who are incarcerated will not vote. Is that what you're saying?
Yes. You can only vote when you walk to the polling station. You must present yourself. You cannot send somebody to vote for you.
Even for the presidential?
And even for the presidential, you cannot vote online. Yeah. And even in the prisons, we are going to have polling stations in the prisons. We have voters registered in the prisons.
In the prisons?
Yeah.
So they will vote?
And they will only vote for the presidential election.
Yeah. So they will vote?
They will vote.
Who are in prison?
Yes, they will vote manually. Those who are registered as voters.
Or those who are registered as voters?
Yeah, they will vote manually. Like the way we are voting here.
They'll be voting?
Yes.
All right. So, just to make sure that I got it right, the white ballot paper must be dropped in the ballot box that has a white lid.
Correct.
I think that's very important.
Yeah. Okay. So the voter must be very careful. Now, for the member of National Assembly, the lid is green. And therefore, the voter must check and drop it inside, cast inside what is green. And as you can see, the voter has folded the ballot paper vertically. We expect them to fold it like that.
Is there some science there?
There's some science.
How about if I vote it horizontally?
There's likelihood that if you vote it, if you fold it horizontally, that the marking ink could interfere with the marking area, such that
it could impose itself on another box.
Yes, so it could lead to a rejected ballot paper. You could find a ballot paper with more than one mark because the ink was able to spill over to another marking area. So we'll continue with voting.
Can you just give the presiding officer? We want to see how you folded it. I don't know whether the camera can.
So when the clerks issue the ballot paper, you realize that the clerks will fold the ballot paper like that for the voter. Yeah, when they will issue it, they will fold it like this.
Also, the clerks will
just to remind or just to signal to the voter that that is the same way. Once they mark, they should fold the ballot paper. In this way, you cannot interfere with the marking area. As you can see, the voter has marked there. They have put their mark there. And therefore, when you fold vertically, it has not interfered with any other marking area.
Exactly.
But if you fold it this way, there's a likelihood of the box here, of the marking area here, ink, to spill over to the other area.
Exactly,
So we'll now proceed, and then the voter moves on to the member of county assembly. As you can see, the color is brown. Oh, it's beige,
It's beige.
I know.
Are you colorblind?
I'm not colorblind. I'm not a man.
All right.
So that is beige, and most of them will look at it as brown. And then we have the governor, which is blue. So the voter is doing a good job. And then we have the senator. Do we call this yellow? Yes. So you put the yellow ballot paper there. And then we have the last one, the woman member of National Assembly, and that is pink or purple. It goes in.
And those are 6.
Now, once they cast their ballot, as you can see, in the event the voter puts in the wrong ballot paper in the wrong box, it becomes a stray ballot. And that is why the presiding officer, together with the deputy presiding officer, they have a big responsibility of ensuring that the voter puts the right ballot paper in the right ballot box. And that is why it is important for us as IEBC to educate our voters that they should always ensure the ballot paper corresponds with the color of the lid of the ballot box. Now, at that point, now we will have a clerk or the deputy presiding officer to mark the small finger of the voter. Now, the voter has finished casting his vote, and therefore we'll expect, come this way.
Just come, the voter.
Just come.
So that we can see you on...
come this way.
The viewer can see on the screen,
this was a very good voter, a very well-informed voter. So we'll expect that the clerks or the presiding officer will have somebody there, will have an official there, to mark the small left finger with this indelible ink, and especially the cuticle part. Now, this ink stays for a long time. I don't want to... I hope I've not interfered with your voting area.
You know, it stays for a long time?
Yes.
So you don't want to mark it now, do you? Because probably he has a desire to vote.
I've actually marked it. but I'm sure he's going to wash it. Yeah. So that is how we are going to mark it. I had to demonstrate that.
Okay.
That is how we are going to mark it. And then from there, we will ensure that the voter has his documents.
Yeah.
And therefore, we will ask him kindly, we will tell him thank you for coming, and then we'll ask him kindly to leave the polling station.
Yeah, before you release him,
yes.
There's this checklist, all right? How do you ensure that you've ticked all the boxes? Is there a document that your colleagues use to sort of follow through and tick all the boxes to ensure that
for the voter?
Yeah, even for you.
Now, usually for the presiding officer, before even they open the polling station in the morning, we have a polling station diary that we use to record all the happenings in a polling station.
Blow by blow.
Yes. You see the presiding officers and the other election officials in a polling station arrive on the eve of the polling day. And when they arrive, they have a polling station diary where they even input their details. These are the officials who have arrived. This is the time they have arrived. And then in the morning, these are the agents who have come and they have witnessed the opening of the ballot boxes and they append their signatures.
Do you also capture the profiles of the other stakeholders? For example, the party, the party representatives?
We capture the agents of various political parties. And we even have an area where we capture the observers who are present in the room. And we're also able to capture the serial numbers of the ballot papers.
Do you capture the media, for example?
Not really.
The reporters who
Not
come
really.
to...
Unless it is an incident, we have an area for capturing an incident. If there was an incident, a presiding officer can capture. And if they so wish, if it is necessary, they can also mention that even in the polling station, there was the presence of this and this and this group of people. So if the media happen to be part of them, then they can also be in the incident story. Yes.
So you have, it opens at 6 and it closes at 5.
At 5 p.m.
All right?
Yes.
So on the main day of voting, the media always has this cardinal role of wanting to update the viewers and the audiences of the results. So I don't know whether you have a mechanism where perhaps on an hourly basis or 2-hourly basis, once you have an update, then the reporters and the media houses across the country can then speak to the nation and say, opened at 6, but 2 hours on, this is what has happened so far, and so on and so forth. Is there a mechanism that allows that to happen so that the country, you walk with the country through the entire process?
Yes, we have a mechanism in place. And as I said earlier, we have the polling station diary. And even looking at it, it has an area where you update the agents and you update the returning officer of the turnout during the day. The first reporting could be at 9, then we go to 11, we go to 1, we go to 3, and even again at 5 when we close the station. So at those different intervals, the presiding officer is expected to report or to update the returning officer and even the agents in the room. And even in the morning, the presiding officer has a responsibility of displaying the ballot papers to the agents. And they capture the serial numbers of the ballot papers.
Very useful. Tell me, there's this old story of ballot stuffing, box stuffing, and so on and so forth. Is that a thing of the past? Remember, we have history. So, just for the sake of those who are watching, do you want to settle them in the mind and in their hearts?
Yeah, ballot papers, if it was there, I do not know because I didn't work for the other commission. I worked for IEBC and I worked for IEBC.
But you may have audited those past events and mitigated them.
Yes, not really. But what I know is that with IEBC, ballot stuffing is like an impossibility. It cannot happen because we have agents in the room. And at every stage, we work with our agents. When a ballot paper is complete and you have finished giving out to the voters and you pick a new ballot booklet, you must tell the agents that now the first booklet is over and now we are picking the second one. And you even allow them to capture the serial numbers. So there is no room for manipulation. There is no room for ballot stuffing.
Let me ask this. Because, there's no room for manipulation.
Yes.
But sometimes we experience power blackouts. Any contingency to ensure that, in case power goes off and you're still within the polling station.
Yes.
How do you cure that?
Now,
because a lot of
counting,
things happen in darkness, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, my colleagues here will tell you that before any counting begins,
yeah.
All right?
Yeah.
After we are done with polling and we convert ourselves into a counting room, before even talking to the agents and explaining to them what constitutes a valid vote, you start by lighting. We normally have a gas lamp. We have a gas lamp, which is here with us.
Do you have it? Do you want to show us?
Yes.
Where's the Jeep? Okay. All right.
Movie.
Where is it?
These are deputy returning officers in various constituencies, and they can also show us the gas lamp.
Because it's a simulation. It would be nice just to see it so that as we wrap up.
So that is the gas lamp. Yeah. So we normally light this lamp. And in some areas, we also have a backup of generators. So we normally light it up before counting begins. In some areas, we also have solar light backup. So we are well equipped with backup power.
Okay.
So we don't envisage a total blackout because we have backup lights.
Okay.
Yes.
So you have some redundancy.
Yes.
Well, thank you. I want to thank you at this point. Thank you for walking us through.
Yes.
Oh, any final comments you'd like to make before we wrap it up?
Yeah, so we are saying that that will be the polling procedure. And next time when we have enough time, we shall also demonstrate the counting process and even the result transmission process, and especially the result transmission for the presidential election. Otherwise, I want to wish Kenyans a peaceful election period, and we want to assure them that IEBC is well prepared to conduct a very credible and fair election, so that the winner who wins, wins fairly.
Thank you
in all elective positions.
Thank you for invoking the use of that word, peaceful. And thank you for coming through with your team. We want to thank you and also wish you well. Remember that 22, just slightly above 22 million voters will pick Kenya's 5th president. And of course, other elective seats in the National Assembly and the County Assembly that has been eloquently articulated by the returning officer, Beatrice Mule. So at this point, we come to the end of this show. I want to thank you on behalf of the Prime Edition team. My name is Mboya. On behalf of Lensa Odingo, I want to wish you a pleasant evening. Good night, and God bless. From Nairobi, Kenya. Bye-bye.